Ladies and gentlemen, in the NFL, a team and a city's greatness are measured by Super Bowl championships, something our town would not have without our next inductee. His name is etched in St. Louis sports history with a two-word phrase, the tackle. Let's welcome him to the stage from the St. Louis Rams, University of Missouri grad, and relive that magical moment, Mike Jones.
From the 10, probably the final play of the game in regulation. It is caught by Dyson. Can he get in? No, he cannot. Mike Jones made the tackle. And the Rams have won the Super Bowl.
No lie, the game is over. The game is over.
Now every Super Bowl should have an ending such as this. Down on the 1-yard line, a terrific play call, trying to give Dyson an opportunity to break a tackle.
Mike Jones.
Conducting our interview tonight, 2024 Hall of Fame inductee, the voice of Matrix Midwest, Randy Carricker.
Thank you, Tom. And first of all, it's always great to see Mike Jones. He is a longtime St. Louisan, really cares about this community, and I know this is a big night for you, being inducted into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. One thing, I have to make sure I do this. My daughter's here, Ashley. Her birthday is 5/2. But the ironic thing is this, I was inducted into another Hall of Fame, and I got off track and I didn't mention her, so I want to make sure the first thing I do is mention her. So at least I can get in the house. All right.
There you go. I know you've seen that because you've done many, many interviews with Kevin Dyson over the years. I heard an interview with Al Michaels just this week. He said after the call for the Miracle on Ice, do you believe in miracles? Yes. He said that was his second best call ever of all the calls that he made.
I'll agree with him.
All right, I want to, before we get to the tackle, I want to touch on a couple of things. Number one, and I've told you this before, I remember hearing a post-game interview with your college coach, Woody Widenhofer, one time after a Mizzou win, and Mike played running back in college, never played linebacker, a down in college, right? And Woody said Mike Jones is the best player on this team. How much of an impact did that have on you when he had that level of confidence in you?
You know what, it was, Coach Woody I had a great relationship with Coach Woody, also with Coach Mills, you know, and all I did, every place I went, I just tried to be the best in-shape person I could be. And that's all you need, that's all he wanted from his players. Be the best you possibly can be. Don't try and be no more than what you are. Just work hard, and I tried to do that, and it worked out for me.
I want you to tell everybody in here the story of how you became a linebacker.
Well, my agent is here, Harold Lewis. So this is honest to God truth. I thought I was going to get drafted. I didn't. Harold tells me, literally, go to the airport. There's a plane ticket waiting for you. You're going to Los Angeles. And at that time, we didn't know what was wrong with Bo Jackson. He didn't tell me exactly where I was going in L.A. So I'm like, I'm not a rock'em sock'em fullback, and I'm not a wiggle guy tailback. I'm like, you sending me somewhere to get cut. And so I get there, and everyone that knows Al Davis, he is super secretive. So they check me into the hotel, and no one knows where I'm at because they didn't have my name on it. And of course, it's pre-cell phones. So I go to a workout. I still don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to run a 40. So I ran really well 3 times. And then this guy walks, a little short guy by the name of Gunther Cunningham. Gunther walks out, takes me through linebacker drills. Okay, now I'm doing linebacker drills. No one's told me anything. Okay, maybe they want me to play linebacker. Said, get dressed, we're going to take you over to the administrative office. I sit down, literally, and that's the first time I heard they're moving me to linebacker. Now, this is not the craziest part out of it. Harold, I call her. I said, I need to talk to my agent. Can I call him? They said, yeah. So I call him on the Raiders phone. Harold literally says, sign the contract, click. So I'm sitting there like, I've never played linebacker since high school. So I did a smart thing. Before I asked the question, I signed a contract because Harold had worked the deal out where I got equivalent to a 7th-round draft pick, and I wasn't drafted and never played linebacker. So after I signed the contract, I'm like, why did you guys move me to linebacker? They said, you went to the combine, correct? I said, yes. He said, how'd you do at the combine? I said, I ran an OK 40. I ran like 4.6. I said I tested well on the vertical jump and the broad jump. They said, you out-tested every linebacker but one guy, and it was Roman Pfeiffer, who was a second-round draft pick. So they said, the way we see it, if you play as well as we think we can coach you, we get a second-round pick for seventh-round money, and if you're not very good, 50-50 chance you're going to make the team anyway as a seventh-round draft pick. And that's how I ended up as a linebacker.
And by the way, you know, at the end, Al Davis lost his fastball, but it was kind of Al Davis's idea, right?
Yeah, it was actually Al. It's so many different stories, and me and Jim Collins, who's in charge of the Demetrius Johnson Foundation, we were talking about it, and I would call him, and he was like, well, what's going on? How's it going? I said, man, I'll be on the sideline, and I get a tap on my shoulder, and Al say, go in. So I'll run on the field, and the coach's like, what are you doing, Mike? And I just point to the sideline. I was like, okay. So, but Al gave me a tremendous opportunity. I made a team. They sent me to the World League. I think you guys know Jim Haslett. Haslett really helped me become a linebacker. I had some really great coaches with the Raiders. Everyone, Al was different. You know, if you don't know Al, he's different. But if you're a Raider, he's going to take care of you. And he took care of me. And that's why I ended up making the team.
And then when Dick Vermeil comes here to coach the St. Louis Rams in 1997, the first player he signs is Mike Jones. What did Coach Vermeil say he wanted from you?
Well, you know what? Again, Harold Lewis story. Harold calls me and says, I'm living in St. Louis. He says, Mike, go over to Rams Park. I said, Harold, I'm not going over to Rams Park. He's like, go over to Rams Park. They want to talk to you. Harold, I know it was a linebacker, Lewis Bush, was over there. So I'm like, Harold represented Lewis and represented me. So it was going to be one of his guys who was going to be the Rams linebacker. So I go over there. I meet with Bud Carson. I meet with Coach Vermeil. Me and Lewis switch. And then that afternoon, they called me and said we wanted to sit down and talk. And we go to dinner. I sign the next day. And Coach Vermeil, again, I don't know Coach Vermeil from Adam. So Coach Vermeil's talking to me, and he starts tearing up. And I'm like, okay, is this guy going to start crying? So then, this is the craziest part, though. He stands up and he sticks his arms out like this, like to hug me. And I'm like, okay, something's wrong here. This guy wants to hug me. But, as you got to know him, he was that passionate about the guys that worked for him and played for him.
There is a couple of stories that I want you to tell, because if you have your program, Coach Vermeil bought an ad for Mike, and it says, congratulations, Mike Jones, on your enshrinement into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. And in the bottom it says, thank you for being the silent leader of our world championship team. 1998, didn't your teammates send you upstairs to talk to Coach Vermeil?
Yeah, so 97, no one really knows Coach Vermeil's scheme. We were practicing 3 hours and 2.5 hours. So that first year, because it's a new coach, you're just trying to get through it. So the second year, the same thing happens. So now this is the messed up part about it. Coach Vermeil would be in the meeting room like we're doing now. He'd walk out, and he said, everyone, DeMarco 4. Oh, we're not leaving. I'm like, okay, what's going on? He said, Mike, you need to go tell Coach Vermeil we're not going to practice. He was just standing right here 30 seconds ago. So Coach Vermeil's office is the CE's office, so it's in the back corner office. So they call it the death walk. I will walk up the stairs through everyone's office, and you can see people shaking their head like, this is not going to go well. So I go in the coach's office, and I said, Coach, we got a problem. He's like, what's that? I said, the guy's not going out to practice. I said, what do you mean not going out to practice? I said, they said if we don't change some things around, they're not going out. So he looks at me. He said, I'll be down in just a minute. So he walks down. Now, Coach, and you know this, he stands at the podium every time he talks. This is where he kind of changed that. He came out, and we had stairs at Rams Park. So he didn't go to the podium. He went down and sat on the stairs. So now it's like, okay, now he's not the CEO. Now he's a coach that's trying to figure out how to make everything work. He sat down, talked to us. We still didn't do very well that year. We only won 4 games. But he kind of started changing then. He realized that, he has to trust us as much as we trust him.
And then was there a game that you guys almost decided to not play to, or was it just a practice?
Just practice.
Okay. And so let's fast forward to 99.
But that wasn't his only team. Every team he had did that.
Because he worked him so hard, right?
At UCLA, I know you heard the story about when the guy walked off and took everything, literally everything off the field. And when he got done, he was basically in a jock.
Yeah.
When
And
he got
then
done walking off the field.
ultimately, Coach Vermeil wound up having beers with him,
Yeah.
right? Everybody comes back to Coach Vermeil. We knew when before '99 when the Rams got Marshall and drafted Torrey and Isaac was healthy, and we saw that offense in training camp. We knew that it was going to be good. Did you guys know how good your defense was going to be? If you aren't aware of it, that '99 defense was 4th in the league. They never allowed a 100-yard rusher. They scored 10 touchdowns on defense or special teams, including great touchdown return by Michael Jones. Did you guys realize how good you were going to be?
We thought we were good. We thought we were going to be. No one believed us. We were like, we think we're going to be a playoff team. We just won 4 games, so no one's not exactly believing us going to the playoffs. As a matter of fact, you got Mr. Mayfield here. They had a thing about if the Rams go to the Super Bowl, your mortgage is paid off. I don't know if you guys remember that. So so that's how bad it was. But we got Trent, and a lot of people don't realize when Trent was 31 out of 32 or some crazy number in the preseason. Trent was lighting it up. We had Isaac healthy. Isaac healthy is a Hall of Famer. We had just drafted Torrey. Orlando Pace was going into his 3rd year. And you can see the Orlando Pace that was dominant in college. You've seen all these things coming together. And then, of course, Marshall, you couldn't – that was the X factor that no one could worry about. You could put him anywhere. So we thought we were going to be pretty good. And then, of course, Trent gets hurt. And then we come into the meeting, and Coach says we're going to win. And literally, I say this all the time, he was the only guy that believed that Kurt Warner was going to be that good. All of us looking like, and he's like, we're going to win with this guy here. And I imagine the whole room looking at him, and Kurt looks down, and we was like, oh, man, we in trouble. So, Hall of Fame.
You know what's funny about that is that Coach Vermeil has always said that when Kurt ran the scout team in '98, he'd walk off the field saying, either our defense is pretty bad or this guy's pretty good.
I'm not going to go that far. I think me and London might have been the 2 leading receivers for Kurt doing on that. But again, like I said, you're a scout team quarterback. So you got to understand that's what he did. Yeah. But in training camp, again, that offense for what Kurt did, the one thing you could see, because you got the year before, we would throw the ball down the field. That wasn't his type. He was a quick strike quarterback. So when you would come into camp, even though Mike was all over him, he would get the ball out. So you knew you were like, okay, that's a little different. Now Trent was just lighting it up, so you were thinking, well, Kurt's not going to start in front of him, but you could see what he was doing with the offense that they were doing. And then when he stepped in the preseason and played well, and then the first 3 games, what he did was phenomenal. It's just you could see it building up. And Kurt, of course, Hall of Famer, incredible quarterback, but more so even a better person.
All right, the Rams blow out Minnesota in their first postseason game, the first postseason game in the NFL ever in St. Louis on January 16th of 2000. January 23rd, a slugfest against Tampa Bay. Ricky Prohl catches a touchdown pass. Defense was unbelievable. The Rams win that game 11-6. And by the way, that was a slugfest. Is that the best description of that game?
It was ironic because the game before, I know I played bad in the playoff game. Defense, we gave up a lot of points. So we knew we was going to be in a defensive struggle. And the ironic thing is, a lot of people don't know this, our offense shifted. It was led by Isaac, so everyone was rolling their coverage to Isaac and taking Marshall out. So our whole game plan was for Torrey to be the number 1 that game. Torrey breaks his rib. Well, he has internal bleeding.
Derek Brooks hit him. He's spitting up blood on the sideline.
Spitting up blood. So now our whole offensive scheme went out the window and that's how Ricky caught the touchdown. Because that was actually a play for Torrey, and Ricky stepped in, and that's how Ricky caught the touchdown to win the game. But, yeah, it was a slugfest.
So the next week, only 1 week between the championship game and the Super Bowl. Obviously, you all know the story. They score, Eddie George scores with just before the 2-minute warning. Kurt to Isaac, 73 yards, touchdown. And then Steve McNair leads his club back down the field. How difficult was it, especially as a linebacker, to play against Steve McNair?
During the game, Steve, we had done a pretty good job of shutting him down. And that last series, the whole season except one game, we had stopped everyone in 2 minutes. So we just thought it was going to be, we're going to go out there, they might make a couple plays, but we're going to stop them. But that guy put on a Superman cape. I mean, he was doing things. I mean, the play before our last play, when he knocked DeMarco and Jay off and throw the ball down the field, I say this all the time, we actually had covered the play. Peter Junta all week said they're going to run a hook and lateral. And we practiced it at least 4 times during the week. That play, Steve scrambles, they try to run a hook and lateral. I jump the guy, Dexter jumps the guy, and Billy Jenkins back. So when you watch Steve pumps the ball, and he can't throw it because we had jumped the routes. So he scrambles around and throws the ball downfield, and we're like, man, we had that play covered dead to right, and he still made a play.
So they have the last play. We all know it. Well, people think that the Titans would have won. It was 23-16, okay? So the game would have gone to overtime. Jeff Fisher was not trying a 2-point conversion. But you've been through it. You see it in your mind's eye right now. I can guarantee everybody that you can. Take us through the play with the tackle.
Well, I can even remember the call. It was 77 blast. I mean, it was when we first got to St. Louis, Bud Carson, who was at the time the defensive coordinator of the 75-year anniversary, phenomenal defensive coordinator. The first defense he put in was 7. So 77 was our sub coverage, when you have our subs, the nickel and the dime in. So that's the first thing we put in. So we're playing the very first coverage we put in St. Louis. So we get the call, the ball snap, and for basketball guys, it's like a match zone. I'm the center. Anybody that runs through the middle, I have to take them. So the tight end runs up the seam. That's Wycheck. And I'm looking through Kevin through Wycheck to Kevin. So I'm thinking, I see Kevin plant, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to kill this guy. He doesn't see me. So I plant, and he runs a route that you guys remember Marsh used to run all the time. He either beat the linebacker going vertical, or he run an angle route and beat him underneath. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to kill him. And then I plant, and I take a step. I'm like, okay, this guy a little faster than I thought. Second step, I'm like, oh, I better get him down. Third step, I reach, and I didn't see it to the end. I grab his leg, I tackle him, and he goes down. And I never knew initially why he went down so fast. And when we watched on film, when he came around, I literally put my hand on his knee, in which he could not move, and he fell like a tree. And I didn't know that when it happened. I just saw, man, this guy went down awful fast. He's down, we win, but I never understood until I saw it on film. And, of course, he bounces and rolls, and everyone don't know if he scores, and we knew he hadn't scored, so we knew we were Super Bowl champions.
And by the way, the Rams, I remember asking DeMarco one time, Frank Gans came in and actually taught these guys tackling at the NFL level. That just doesn't happen in the NFL, fundamental tackling, but it was second nature for you guys by that point, right?
Frank Gans would have a drill for us like we were 5-year-olds, and it was a great drill. He would take us through the steps, wrap, take down. He broke it down into about 3 ways, and it was the best I don't think there's a better tackling technique ever, and we did that every single day. Everyone on the team, and this was a tribute to Coach Gans, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, quarterbacks, anyone on the team had to tackle the tackle dummy, and this is the honest God truth, 2 days out of the week. Because he said you never know who's going to tackle. Interception, you got to get the guy down. And we all did that. So that making the tackle then, that's something we practiced from day one, and it paid off at the end.
And it has made him St. Louis Sports Hall of Famer. One quick thing, though, because I've never asked you about this. Because you were living here in St. Louis, what was the Super Bowl parade like for Mike Jones?
Unbelievable. I mean, they say it's cold. We didn't feel it. I mean, think about it. We stayed up all night. So you were going on adrenaline. The greatest thing was when you came around the bend and Keener Plaza, and I want to say it was about halfway down. You couldn't see anything because the buildings, everything. And all of a sudden you see a wave of I don't know how many people. It was just unbelievable. It was phenomenal. You know, and the experience, I tell everyone the same thing. Everybody was like, what was it like winning the Super Bowl? I said, ask anybody in St. Louis. We had the same feeling that our fans had. We all experienced the same thing the first time. first playoff game, first NFC championship, first Super Bowl championship. We all experienced it. So that's why I think is why we're all so connected with that team, because we all experience the same thing at the same time.
It's my pleasure to welcome Mike Jones into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame.
You get this?